Okay, so it's time for us to get back into our coverage over Absolute Wonder Woman. And we now pick up with issue number 2 and issue number 3. Now, with these two issues, we're going to get a better idea of where this story could possibly go. But at the same time, we're also going to learn more information about Wonder Woman in this reality. Now, issue number 2 does pick up where the first issue had left off at. You see, in the first issue, you had Diana arrive to Gateway City. Now, when she did arrive, she had to fight against the Harbinger Prime. Now, Harbinger Prime is this creature that was sent by its master to kind of say, hey, listen, I came here to bring destruction, but also to warn the rest of the world that my master is coming here sooner or later. And when my master arrives, it is over for the entire earth. And so you had Diana go out of her way to fight against Harbinger Prime. Now, in the first issue, she really did struggle, but at the same time, in that first issue, it was really used as a way to explain the first parts of the origin of this Diana in the Absolute Universe. And so as we dive into issue number 2, we're going to see Diana being able to take down this creature by using her lasso. Now, her lasso in this reality is called Nemesis. Now, for Nemesis, it has the ability to make you feel pain once it is able to get on you. Now, when it comes to pain you feel, it's all because if you had sinned. So the more times you have sinned, the more pain you are going to feel. And so for Harbinger Prime, it has sinned so much, it feels so much pain in this exact moment, it automatically gives up. It's all like, hey, listen, the pain I'm feeling right now, it's not worth it for me to stay here and try to fight against you. And so you have Diana tell the creature, go away, do not come back here, and tell your master that this city, this world is protected by me. And so you have the creature leave. Now, you would think like, okay, the day is saved. But you have Diana say, it's not over just yet. But before we're able to learn what does she mean by that, she's then confronted by Steve Trevor. And so we're now getting our first look of Steve Trevor in this reality. Now, that was not her first time meeting Steve Trevor. Matter of fact, you had the book go back in time to kind of explain to us when Diana and Steve first met. And apparently they met while Steve was in hell. Yeah, you heard that right. Steve was in hell. And so with Diana, as she was walking around the island, she found Steve Trevor just on the shoreline, just laying there passed out. Now, as she walked over to him, you had the sea creature grab Steve and pull him back into the water. Now, we're going to learn more about this sea creature here in a moment, but you do have Diana go out of her way to fight against that sea creature to save Steve Trevor's life, and then take him back to her home. Now, once you have Diana take Steve back to her home, she's then confronted by her mother, Cersei, or her adoptive mother, Cersei. Now, for Cersei, she's wondering, what in the world is going on here? Like, Diana's holding a random man. Now, you also have Diana tell Cersei that she had fought against the Hydra, the sea creature that tried to pull Steve back into the waters. Now, for Cersei, she's kind of like, you cannot just fight that sea creature. Like, it might come back for you down the road. But either way, for Diana and also Cersei, they're trying to figure out how in the world did Steve arrive here on the island, but also in hell. Now, for Steve, once he does wake up, he does ask Diana and also Cersei, like, hey, where am I? And they said, well, funny story, dude, you're in hell. Now, for Steve, he's wondering, did he die? And you have the lady say, no, you did not technically die, not yet. And so we're kind of left to wonder, what is hell like in this reality? But either way, for Steve, he's now able to build that bond with Diana, but also Cersei as well. Now for Steve, he wants to go back to the area that Diana had found him at. He wants to do some detective work there. But honestly, that time is being used more of to allow Steve to build that bond with Diana. And so you have the two characters talk about hell, but also talk about home for Steve Trevor. Now for Steve, the way he's explaining home to Diana, it kind of piques her interest. But at the same time, it's also Steve realizing that Diana's really tall for a woman. He's kind of like, hey, back home, they ain't that tall like you are. But again, for Steve, he cannot believe that he is in hell. Now, for Diana, she's trying to explain how hell truly works. Like, there are some people in hell who don't deserve to be in hell, but unfortunately, they do arrive in hell. Again, we're still learning a lot about hell in this reality. And so, as we jump back over to the present day, we pick up with Steve Trevor being excited about the fact that he's now able to reunite with Diana. Now, we have not learned how in the world Steve was able to get back to hell, but down the road in this video, you're going to have the later parts of the storyline explain how he was able to get back to hell. Now, for Diana, she realized the man is wearing a uniform because he's part of the Air Force. But the only reason why he came out there to greet Diana because he was told to bring her back with him to meet with his commander, Commander Cole. Now, for Diana, she already realized that some people are going to be happy that she had just saved the day. But some people are not going to be happy that she had helped out in the first place. Now, for Commander Cole, he believes that Diana was working with the Harbinger Prime because she was the only person able to bring that creature down, but she only appeared right when the world needed her help. Now, for Diana, she said, listen, I understand that it may seem weird to you that someone like me appeared out of nowhere and being able to take that creature down. But at the same time, I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to help you. But also, I want you to know I'm someone that you cannot control at all. And so you had Diana go ahead and move on with her life because she says, listen, I stopped one monster, but more monsters are coming soon. And matter of fact, less than an hour, there's going to be another one here to try to destroy this city. And so right now, your job, Commander, is to get every single innocent person out of this town right now before the next creature arrives. And she just walks away. And so now we get a small hint on how Steve Trevor was able to come back to life because you have Steve and Diana go outside and you have Diana begin to feed her Pegasus. Now, as you can tell, her Pegasus is dead. And so for Steve Trevor, he's wondering, how in the world is this Pegasus alive right now at this exact moment? And she says, oh, I had to use a ritual and a sacrifice as a way to bring this creature back to life. But then you have the Pegasus begin to freak out. And the reason why, because it hears a noise. And that noise does cause enormous pain for every single person in that area, including Diana. Now, she knows that sound is going to pass by, but that sound came from one creature that had just arrived. And she knows that this creature is going to be an actual problem. And there's a possibility that she might not be able to stop this creature from doing what it wants to do, which is bring destruction to Gateway City. But as we dive into the third issue of this series, we pick up with Barbara Minerva. Now, Barbara does work at the Gateway City National Museum of History. But while working there, they're watching the news as the news reports what's happening with Diana getting ready to fight against the next creature. And so for Barbara, we can tell that she is already intrigued by Diana. She wants to be close to Diana for a special reason. And so you have Barbara leave her job hoping that she can meet Diana. But as we jump over to Diana, this is where we learn more about this creature better known as the Tetracide. Now, when it comes to Diana, she does tell the military force here that when it comes to this creature, it tries to kill you in 4 different ways: fear, mind, body, or soul. Now, starting off with fear, what the creature does is at first, it releases a loud sound, and that sound puts people usually in a trance, wanting to be close to that sound. And so you have all those people would run towards the creature, but of course, running inside the mouth of the creature, killing them off. Now, if you were able to get past the sound, it will then try to go for your mind. Now, when it does go for your mind, it is trying to pull you in closer to it. to allow it to eat you. Now, once the creature does eat you, it then goes on to your body. And of course, it dissolves your body while it's trying to ingest you. And then finally, it has your soul. And so you have Diana realize that this could possibly be her last battle against this creature. And so you have Diana being able to use the different kind of weapons and magic she had brought with her to hopefully fight against this creature. But as the battle goes on, and it does seem like she is able to do some damage to this creature, you didn't have the creature grab her arm. Now, this is really important for this issue because we're also going to learn how Steve Trevor was able to leave hell and go back to Earth. So we go back in time and we pick up with Diana, Steve Trevor still on the island, but now they're fighting against a Hydra creature in the water that had tried to grab Steve earlier in this video. Now, you do have Diana and Steve being able to work together to take out the creature, but after doing that, you didn't have Steve being able to sit down with Diana to continue to tell her more stories about Gateway City, and you can tell that she is very intrigued about his home. But later on in the day, you didn't have Diana go over to her mother. And the reason why, because she had found a spell that could possibly be used as a way to send Steve Trevor back home to Earth. But the problem is, to do that, it requires a huge sacrifice. And so you have Cersei tell Diana, like, hey, listen, I don't think you understand what the word sacrifice mean. On top of that, a huge sacrifice. But for Diana, it's kind of like, no, we gotta send him back home. He does not deserve to be in hell at all. Now, if I'm Cersei, I'm going to make sure I keep my eyes on my daughter. And the reason why, because, well, it's Diana. And here's the reason why, because once you have Cersei wake up, she sees Diana right next to her bed. And we kind of find out that Diana is planning on going through the huge sacrifice as a way to send Steve back home. But again, it's a huge sacrifice. And so we kind of find out that Diana had cut off her arm so that she can use this arm as a sacrifice in the ritual to hopefully send Steve back home. And so for Cersei, she can't believe what Diana did, but no matter what now, they have no choice. They now have to go ahead and go through the ritual. Now, for Diana, she made sure that Steve did not know what she was up to. And so while you had Steve just walking around the island, out of nowhere, you had Diana and Cersei go ahead and do the ritual. And just like that, he was sent back home to Earth. But of course, for Diana, she kind of feels bad because she was unable to say goodbye to Steve. And so as we jump back into the present day, we kind of find out the creature was able to take away her arm. Now, you do have Diana retreat back to the base that the military is using currently. And so for Steve, once he does see her without her arm, he realized what she had done back in the past to be able to send him back to Earth. Now, for Diana, she's kind of like, dude, listen, we don't have time to sit here and feel sad for what happened to me in the past. Right now, I need you and everyone else in the city to get the heck out of here, because right now, sooner or later, you are all going to die. And so you have Diana continue on to go back outside after she was able to replace her arm with something else to now go back out there to battle against the creature. Now, while you have Diana leaving, she does run into Barbara. Now, Barbara knows what Diana is, an Amazon. And matter of fact, you have Barbara say, you are Wonder Woman, because in the Amazon culture, they call their champion Wonder Woman. And so for Diana, she realized that Barbara knows a lot about the Amazons. And let's not forget that Diana did not have the chance to grow up with the Amazons. She grew up in hell in this reality. And so for Diana, it's kind of like, wait a second, I might need you because you might be able to give me information about my people. Now, for Diana, she realized that she cannot just fight against this creature because she will lose. But Diana realized what her best option is. And so you have Diana find a news reporter. And when she does, she goes on live television and she says, Gateway City, listen to me. You see, this creature, its first attack is going to be a sound that's released across the entire city that's going to make you go insane, wanting to run towards the creature. And so, to prevent that from happening, what I am going to do is make every single person go deaf. Yes, guys, you heard that right. She's going to use a spell as a way to make sure that nobody can hear the sound of that creature. But she's also saying that it might make a few people panic, but at the same time, it's the best way to protect you guys from that creature. And so just like that, at the end of this chapter, you have Diana go ahead and use a spell, which means in the 4th chapter, Gateway City is going to have a city full of people who cannot hear. Everyone is deaf. But this is where we're going to end today's comic book video. So please leave me a like down below and subscribe. But guys, see y'all next time. Later.